Hi, welcome to Alta Heron. My name is Rob Runacres, and I'm here I'm going to try and say this right, Torneo de la Torre Hércules, which is probably pronounced terribly, but it's the tournament of the Tower of Hercules. I'm in Galicia, in La Coruna, at Tompoy's event, and this is going to be where everything happens. It's quite a small event by all accounts, but it's one that's very much loved, has a lot of fun involved, and I will be reporting from this throughout the weekend, so I look forward to talking to you. Cheers. So here we are in the Tournament of Hercules in La Coruna in Galicia, Spain. And we've got Roberto Gotti, who is just teaching some longsword, and we're going to scroll around here and see in the shadows the sword and buckler class that is going on at the moment. And here we have Francesco Loda as well, who's just taught a fantastic class, as he always does, on the Roman rapier. Very interesting, always good to come in and see these different forms of rapier being taught and to really work very hard on some of the fundamentals that go on there. So, a very hot, very good afternoon. Hi, I'm joined by Jose here, who is, well, you describe yourself as someone who's helping out in organising the...
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, so what have you actually been doing for this weekend?
Well, for this weekend, I've been helping organise this tournament, the NIMF, Torre Hércules tournament, and I'm really aching for it to end at last. We already have the tournament. Yeah, I'm trying to be honest with you. So I mean, just now the surprise tournament, we already have the main tournament, and I'm just waiting for it to finish. I still have some 3 bouts to do, because this Englishman from the north has, said he can beat me, and
he wants to kick my ass, and I'm so exhausted, probably hand. It's getting on for 8 o'clock, and we've probably still got at least another hour and a half of this to go. So the surprise tournament is something that happens every single year. What exactly is it this year, then?
This year we have it's always a surprise. So we try to do something a bit different from the usual rapier longsword tournament. And this year we have a tournament that people will fight in pairs. It's a rapier and dagger tournament. So one people will hold the rapier and the other person will hold the dagger. And we hope it's fun and not too many injuries. We hope.
We'll see. I'm sure it's going to be fine. So Jose, thank you very much. I'm probably going to try and take some videos of this surprise tournament. A last word from you. How do you think the quality of the fencing has been in the competition, as opposed to, say, the sparring that we've seen over the weekend?
It's a bit tough to say, because usually at sparring people are more relaxed, and it's easier for them to show the best. I mean, when I've seen people fighting fencing, usually the best you can see from someone is when his or she is at his most relaxed state, surrounded by people they know to an extent, surrounded by people they like to fence with. At the tournament, well, it's a bit different. Like we were saying before, competitive mentality, win, so strike the other guy as fast and as hard as I can. The quality of the fencing, so. I could say I seem worse, and I probably seem better. You can really blame the people for that. I know people are tense. They want to win. They want to do good in front of the people of the halls and of the schools. And well, yeah. So let's say so. I mean, I've seen some nice bouts, over average. I describe them. Other not so good, but overall, decent. We could settle on that.
On that note, Spain hasn't really had such a big competitive scene.
No.
It's always been more of a fun competition thing. Do you think the quality has not been so good because there isn't an active competition scene, or do you think this is just a general reflection?
Well, I can think that to a certain extent.
Tenemos que ir a hacer la compra, Si no participas, vamos a hacer la compra. Vale.
To a certain extent, I believe that it can be true, but on the other hand, how will I say it? Competition always forces people to improve, because if you want to take part in competition and you want to stay competitive, you have to get better. On the other hand, I'm not sure to what extent a high level of competitive fencers could really mean a real improvement in fencing quality. I mean, for sure, you would see better competitors, but really better fencers, I'm not really sure. I'm not really been in this business, so to speak, for long enough to really say one thing or the other. From my experience, well, I usually practice with people with a certain degree of competitive aspiration. So people who, from time to time, compete in tournaments. Not my case, but some of my closest friends in this business do. I could say that they've become better with the time, but I'm not really sure they've been better because they are competing or they're just really training. Okay. So it's only natural that people get better with time and with practice. I'm not really sure what to say about this.
Okay.
I've said so much, and I can't really illustrate.
No, it's been great. Stop it. Okay, well, we've got to better go and try and film some of this competition that's looking really quite strange already, and then you need to try and kill me. Okay, Jose, thank you very much. Cheers. This is the fun little competition we've got here. We've got a couple, as you can see, one person is holding the rapier and the other the dagger. And I think we're just waiting for the other competitors to come along. As you can see, there's a true martial spirit being displayed here. Okay, so here we go. Excellent. Okay, we'll bring you some more later. Cheers. Okay, I'm joined here by Emma Rios. Hi, Emma.
Hi, Rob.
A lot of people will know you from the videos that we see on YouTube where you're fighting Tom Quay. Yeah. So, how long have you been coming to this event?
To this event, when I started, it was like the third event or so from this place, so around 7 years.
Okay, excellent. And I mean, you're based here in A Coruna anyway, and Tom is actually your teacher, isn't he?
Yep.
How long have you been fencing with him?
Yeah, around 7 years.
So the same
I started with him.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously it's your local...
At the beginning we were more mixed with the sport fencing, and then we moved. I remember like a friend of mine started sport fencing, and he told me something like, okay, there's some historical fencing here, so I thought, that might be fun, and I started coming. Because, I like comics and stuff, and I use that thing. To me it's like art, it's like drawing. I like drawing a lot, so to me doing martial arts or sport fencing has a lot to do with dynamism and kinetics, so to me it's so plastic that it looks like being drawing. So that's my favorite thing.
Well, we might touch on your artwork in a second, but I mean, obviously it's your local club, so you're very passionate about it. But what would you say is very much about this club that makes it special for you?
Because it feels like a family. I don't know. We've been together for quite long. People change a lot, but at the same time, there's always a rather nice mood because, Tom is very nice because everything, even if he's a instructor, he pays attention to everyone. It's not that there is some kind of hierarchy, like massive hierarchy or something, like something that is uncomfortable or that you feel bad at class. It is very thought of what you can do, or follow how looking for your best point to improve. Quite, the attention is quite personal. So I think that makes everything very nice. We all go together to have some beers afterwards, and it's really nice mood. It's not like, and also because most of the people here in the club doesn't give a shit about competition, which is nice. It's more about competing with oneself, which is my favorite thing, honestly. Yeah, because I don't like competition at all. I'm very, very strict with myself because I'm quite perfectionist as well as an artist. I put a lot of pressure on me all the time, for working, for friends, for everything. So I don't need that, nobody else. But I just need that. Leave me alone, I'll do what I can.
Okay. Well, Emma, of course, is known to quite a wider audience. I mean, I met Emma as a fencer, that's how I know her. But you're well known for the Pretty Deadly series of comics, and also for Mirror, which has been coming out quite recently. So how much would you say that the fencing really affects the artwork, and also perhaps your temperament when you're doing something? Because obviously fencing is a very passionate activity.
I think it affects a lot because, in a sense, when I depict action, for example, I know where balance is, so I can draw that perfectly. It's not that I'm going to be, or I know how people move when they are fighting because I've been fighting, even if not a real fight, but I understand how the movement can be to depict that there's weight on those bodies, or there is some kind of balance, and to make things move in the panel. So I think I wouldn't be able to do that if I were in a fight, or at least not that aggressive. Maybe.
Do you feel that because you observe a lot of fences and obviously fence regularly, and also do karate now, I understand, that means that your artwork is perhaps more, I'm not suggesting you compete with other artists, but maybe is more realistic or more fluid than a lot of art?
Different. Like everybody has a different style. Like in my case, I think my best point is this fluidity, or the way I depict people moving. Actually, for me, it's more difficult to do a sequence in which people are sitting on a table talking,
right?
Because I have to think a lot about how to depict that thing to prevent that it becomes boring. Like I have to think about the coffee on the table, or one hand like picking something or smoking or whatever. But for example, when I draw action, when I worked at Marvel, it was very easy, because I was able to work with diagonals all the time. Like if you're working with a superhero like Spider-Man, you just draw diagonals all the time in the page and just make people moving. And when, for example, in Pretty Deadly, that I have a lot of soul fighting, it is different because it's very horizontal, but at the same time, it's as if I'm imagining it. Like movies like, for example, I don't know, like the duelists from Ridley Scott, so the camera is very far, so you can see perfectly how the actors are playing. So that has a lot to do with what I saw, what I normally see, when I'm training. Because I can follow the movement of my partners, and I can imagine, when I'm moving, I imagine, the line that the point is drawing in the air, or even in karate as well. When I'm doing some kind of kata or something, I can imagine, how is like the trail, like what, and how it's going to move next, right? So make it like balanced to create some kind of rhythm in the movement. So that's fantastic for drawing, because it allows me to have more tips to take care with the anatomy and with the weight of people, like with the weight of the body, like how they are stick to the ground and how they move.
So you would say that fencing has actually improved your artwork directly?
Definitely.
Okay.
For me, yes.
Do you find that when you're depicting a sword fighting scene or something like that, because we are fighting in a very nice atmosphere, we're not actually killing it, do you find that makes when you're actually drawing something that's violent? Is there ever a conflict on that? Do you ever find it difficult?
I love it. I actually draw a lot of violence because for me.
But I mean because we never actually see anyone really being run through with the blade. Do you have to make an adjustment for that in your head?
Well, I saw a couple of accidents, but it was not. But it's very shocking for me. It's not even if I am able to draw violent and nasty stuff in my comics, it's very different from reality. Okay, I do that because I think it can create a pretty shocking experience with the reader. You know, it grabs their attention, and also because my style, maybe the line I use is very like clean and it's very organic. So when you mix that with something a bit nasty, it gives some sense of reality, and at the same time it gives some sense of it's going to sound very thick but beautiful.
Yeah, no, sure.
Like it's some kind of this point in between the gross and the beauty, which is like a huge part of reading my book. But it's not all the time like that. I mean, it's different. But for example, for me, it's like when I fence, it's like it's as if I'm drawing, and I'm trying to be balanced. I'm trying to look nice. I'm trying to give something to the people who's fighting with me. I want to transmit something good, like a mood or I don't know, a sentiment. I don't know how to explain it. So my problem comes when, for example, if I'm fighting with somebody who is like very brute or just if because in that moment I start to feel violent myself, and I want to return that because everybody wants retribution when they get hit, right? So I'm a very nervous person in general in life. I'm not quite passionate about things. What I was telling you before, but I was a person myself. I want to do everything. I want to do everything well, because everybody wants to improve and all.
Sure.
But for example, for me, competition brings some kind of sense that if you're fighting with somebody who just not understanding the fence in the same way you are, it's starting to feel different for me. I don't feel comfortable playing like that.
So you're very much in for fencing. We've discussed it other times, but it is a conversation. So you're actually two people engaged in something, a skill rather than a brutal event.
I think it has to be very focused on trust, because you are somehow putting your life in the hands of who you're fighting with, because it is fighting sport or art or whatever you want to call it, but it is dangerous, and you have to trust these people, and you have to know that you can get hurt and you can hurt him, so you have to be careful. With your technique, the more technique you have, the less harm you have to do. I mean, that's the point, right? That's the best thing. So, I don't like tournaments, I don't like nerves, I don't like people, getting angry or that stuff. It has nothing to do with the way I have to be. And when that thing starts to get in the middle, it's like when I feel like I don't want to feel that I want to hit the other person. I want to feel I want to hit the other person by doing something nice, and the other person says, "Oh, nice." Yeah. Or if I get hit beautifully and I say, "Oh, I can learn from this thing." Very well, nice. You're awesome. This thing.
Yeah. So a shared experience there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a conversation. It's like a language, right? You can know a lot about a person only by sensing that person. Even if you don't talk with him much, you can have a sense of how you would get along with that person only through fencing. It means a lot. It depends. In my case, for example, I go to conventions, I talk to people in panels. I was an architect. I was very, very used to talk with in public with people or clients or whatever. For me, when, for example, we do some kind of exhibition about artistic fencing, because Tom and I train sometimes, when your movement starts to get in the way, suddenly you get more nervous about everything, because it's not only a conversation in which you are comfortable speaking, because you have to transmit things with your body movement, which also is very important for me when I draw, like trying to depict like this kind of beauty of subtle feeling. So I don't know, it has a lot to do. For me, it's all the same almost. It's like I try to learn from them. So it's pretty nice.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time. good luck with your continuing success with Mirror. And I better go and get ready to fight. So, Emma Rios, thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
very
time.
much. It was a pleasure.
Cheers. Okay, I'm in the castle of San Anton in La Coruna on the third day of the event that I have the great pleasure of being at. What we've got here today is there'll be a demonstration by Tom Puey and his group to the general public about historical fencing. Manuel Valle of AGEA is also giving a talk on source material, I believe. I'm hoping to interview these guys later. It is a glorious day today. And what I'll try and do is take a couple of shots around the castle for everyone to see. Cheers. Hi, so I'm here with Manuel Valle from the AGEA. And Manuel, you are the treatise man basically in Spain at the moment, aren't you? You're doing most of the publications on all sorts of Iberian treatises, so Portuguese as well as Spanish. Do you want to just tell us a bit about that?
Yes, because the Iberian treatises are a common ground. It's easy to switch from one to the other because sometimes they are complementary. So sometimes they use the other authors from the other country. Say there are a lot of translation, contemporary translation from the Spanish to Portuguese, and so there is a common ground. And basically they were doing the same during this period of time.
Okay, and with the unification of Spain and Portugal, did you have the enforcement of noble destreza upon the whole of the kingdom, or was it just that it just remained in Spain?
Yeah, it happens before the reunification, and it happens after the reunification. It's like a cultural phenomenon, not a political phenomenon. It was not imposed in Portugal, but they were freely adopted by Portuguese because they have very early people from like Figueiredo or Doppel Sofia. This is basically Destreza. Figueiredo says that this is a follower of Carranza. Actually, it's can say that it's some Carrancista book. This is the Figueiredo because it's very complete, and also we saw more or less what is a Carranza system, because the proper Carranza book is some kind of introduction with a lot of philosophy, but very few fencing in them. On the other side, we have treatises from the last part of the 17th century. There are translations from Spanish treatises. They were using it. Sometimes they conceal the names and say that there was of Portuguese authors, but actually there were translations from Spanish. And we have translation from Pacheco, translation from Dia de Viedma, and translation from Ettenhard even. And they were using it well into the beginning of the 18th century, but not later.
Well, I take it that's because the Bourbons come along and everything changes with the fencing after that.
Portugal the same, because there was a changing of fashion, of way of fencing, and there was in Portugal, I think that the Destreza last less than in Spain, because we have a treatise of Portugal from the middle of the 18th century, and this is clearly they have some hints of Destreza, but it's not Destreza at all. But in Spain, Destreza remained in full until the beginning of the 19th century.
Okay, so how many different treatises does the AGEA have out there at the moment? Because you've really found lots and really pushing them out.
Yes, the last one he just has published is a manuscript from the University of Coimbra. It was found because we found a small piece of paper inside a bibliography of Sousa Viterbo. This is a writer of escriba subsídios para el estudio de destreza en Portugal, la escriba en Portugal, and slipped a piece of paper inside one of his books. He was later sold in auction after his death, and these books come to the National Library in Spain. And I found this small piece of paper saying there's a name of an author, a name of a treatise, and also the indication of the University of Coimbra. But this book was not listed previously in any bibliography of fencing. This books happens to be there. This was a manuscript comprising several works. Some of them are entitled, some they attributed to Luis Seijas da Fonseca, but actually they are a translation of Cien Conclusiones of Pacheco, of Modo Fácil of Pacheco, or of the book of Díaz de Viedma, and also a copy of a Portuguese book, the Thomas Luis. Yes, and then they are bound together.
Wow.
Yes, it says that by the name of the author or so-called author, we can say that this was from the last part of the 17th century.
Wow. So it's a real lesson to those of us looking for treatises that
Yes.
there's gold out there still.
Yes, just there are a lot of lost treatises.
Yeah.
Also, there are also unknown treatises happens to appear from time to time.
Yeah.
I count. I think that maybe some 50 treatises that are actually lost. We have some reference from them in the past, but we don't know where today. And
The search goes on.
Yes.
Okay.
There are going to be a lot of things in the years to come.
Okay. One last thing I want to talk about is the fact that a lot of these things are not available in English, and I know that I mean, obviously translations take time. I know it takes a huge amount of time to actually perform, but there may be a particular problem with the Destreza treatises.
Yes, this is because we have to translate it from the old-fashioned language, from old-fashioned system, and then in Spanish we can learn because we can understand the language. Sometimes the theory takes a little more effort to understand, but the basic language we can understand because sometimes it's very complicated. It's not a plain language, it's sometimes very literary language. And then to translate it into English is very, very, very difficult because sometimes you don't know how to say things. And if you do translate it plainly, it's incredible because it's so flourish and so lack of sense. And if you make a adaptation, I fear that you can lose the spirit of the sense of the. So it's very difficult. We are starting to make small translations, and we hope when we are growing more competent in this, we can start to do bigger translation. But it come to be. It takes a lot of time.
Okay, Manuel Valle, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm with Dennis Fernandez, and which club are you from?
I am from Galicia in Arnis, which is the club from Santiago de Compostela in Galicia.
Okay, and is that associated with Tom's club in any way?
Yes, we are part of the same federation, which is the AGEA, the Galician HEMA Federation, which Tom actually presides now. He's the main technical director.
Mm-hmm. And your main area of study is the longsword, isn't it?
Yeah.
What particular area of longsword?
I study mainly the Kampfesfechtens, the Lichtenauer tradition, especially focused on the earlier treatises, 3227A, I think I said that right in English, and Ringek and Paulus Collins.
Okay, so a German treatise
Yes.
in Spain where everyone studies Spanish sources, of course, naturally. Do you apply any Spanish theory to it? Because I know that some people, I believe Alberto Bonprezzi applies Destreza theory to longsword. Or are you very much a historical purist studying just that particular thing?
Well, it's true that we don't have contemporary treatises for the longsword. We did have longswords. There are people in the tombs buried with them, so they did have longswords. But I think the situation here in the Iberian Peninsula was pretty much the same which was happening between England and France. There was a huge series of civil wars between sides actually supported by the British and the French. It was sort of an extension of the 100 Years' War. So they probably didn't have the time to write down things. So there isn't actually a period of sources. So we have to work from what there is, which is the traditions from the Holy German Empire. And I try to be purist. I like to stick from what we know that was used for the swords which we are using. But to be honest, I have creeping doubts about how much I allow the stressor to influence my thinking. I try not to, but I can never be sure whether I am thinking this because I know how it's done in the stressor, for example, or whether that's what the sound is saying.
Okay.
I think that I guess that's an unanswerable question.
Okay. One last question for you, or one last thing to highlight. You work very much with the AGEA on publishing treatises. What are you working on at the moment?
Well, we have just finished the Destreza das Armas, which is a Portuguese translation from the 17th century of several major Destreza treatises originally written in Spanish.
Manuel's just been talking about it, but I understand you've got something that's being stopped by all this damn rapier stuff that's going on.
I'm working. I have been working for a long time in a translation to Portuguese of the 3227A, the pseudo the Bringer manuscript. Which is an interesting work for me because it is mostly a tactical manual which says about how you should think and how you should approach combat. It doesn't focus too much in the exact techniques or movements that you are going to use, but when and how and why you are using it. I think it really captures more the at least the authors, because we can't know for sure if that was what everyone thought.
Yeah.
But the author really managed to write down how he thought you should approach combat. And in the end, techniques are to be adapted to the situation, but the underlying attitudes and what you want to achieve is what really matters. So that's why I think it's interesting. I am translating it to Portuguese, to Galician Portuguese, which are variants of the same language, for my students, so that I can give it to them and say, read that.
Yes.
They say that you should be measured with your steps, that you shouldn't rush into the creek and then be careful, try to measure what you're doing and so on. And also for the people which may find it useful.
Okay. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Cheers. Nice to see you.
Hi, so I'm at the event in La Coruna in Spain, and I'm with Roberto Gotti. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. So, what have you been doing this weekend?
I teach a little bit of Marozzo two-handed sword,
Okay.
and I participate to fantastic sparring and to a very friendly tournament.
Okay. So, the workshops, what were you looking at in particular there?
I try to fix some point of the essence of this master that is not so well known around the world, but I hope with the job of me and many other good people like Ilka and the friend of Sword Army Killer Marozzo, this master will be known more and more around the world.
Okay, fantastic. And you went very well in the tournament yesterday.
Look like yes. It was
like
not
yes.
so bad.
Yeah.
I'm not a tournament boy. I've done 4 tournaments this year, and all of them they were very good. All of them on the podium, and it's not so bad. Also, if I don't like what I perform in tournament, because my aim for the future is to put in tournament the art of the master, and I know that me is not doing it now.
Sure.
This
But
is-
I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? When you're going into that pressurized situation to perform the art is always going to be difficult.
I think we are very lucky because we are pioneer. I practice sword since more than 23 years, and we start from idiot situation, like using every tool we find around 20 years ago, and we start from finding the books. We are building. We are pioneer. We must accept that we are on the road. We are working to something, and you are one of the masters that I love, and what you perform in a free sparring is different from what we perform in a tournament today. But I'm sure that if we put all these things together, tournament, lessons, friendly sparring, I'm sure that we will be able also in the tournament in the future to see the art of the masters. I don't know how. I will be old, young people will come, you will be old, we will sit like in the mayor engravings with long beards, drinking big beer, and somebody will do this. So I don't like what I'm doing in tournament today. I don't like what many people do in tournament today, but I see, for example, that the difference between 10 years ago and today is already a good difference. I suppose that in 10 years we will see the action of the master really in the tournament. And maybe also today we see something in the tournament. So this is, I go well because I have some mass and some tempo and some first intention, but only this. I don't see Marozzo in what I do in the tournament.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It will be.
Roberto Gotti.
Tournament is young for me.
Yes.
It's a young experience.
Do you think you'll continue in that then?
Of course, as an old boy,
Yeah.
yes, and people from my school, they will continue better than me.
Okay. Roberto Gotti, thank you very much.
Thank you for all the life that you are spending for the martial art.
Cheers.